Hello everyone, Jai Bhim, Jai Bharat, Namo Buddhaya. I am Nikhil Sablania and today I am going to talk about Roundtable Conference and Dr. Ambedkar's thought at the Roundtable Conference in London, which ran from 1929 to 1932. I am Nikhil Sablania. You can save my number, you can call me for the books of Dr. Ambedkar or you can go to our website. Before you start listening to this program, I request you to note down my numbers. My numbers are 8527533051. Another number is 88511 and there's a WhatsApp number 8447913116 and our website is nspmart.com. So let us begin about Roundtable Conference. Roundtable Conference has been a very fascinated part of the people, a part of the learning of the people who wanted to know about Dr. Ambedkar. There are various books published about the Roundtable Conference, what it was and how it is. So I read volume 2 of Writings and Speeches, first time published in the year 1979. Then I read 2019 edition, and in that edition, in the last part, there is about Roundtable Conference. There are around 300 pages which you can go and read because reading is something different, and there are also books. It has reading has different experience, and there are also books available in Hindi and English. So let's come to the topic of Roundtable Conference, how it is important, why it is important, what relevance it has about our present time, can it provide any insight into the learning of law about Dr. Ambedkar, and particularly about the saying that Dr. Ambedkar is called as the father of Indian Constitution. Now, I will come to all these points and many other interesting points which you will learn in this video. Now, the first question, Dr. Ambedkar is called as the father of the Indian Constitution. Now that during Roundtable Conference, it was not the Constitution of India which was written, but prior to this conference, there was an act which was considered as the Constitution of India. That was 1919 Government of India Act. And after this Roundtable Conference, they made another act by the name Government of India Act 1935. And then we had the Constitution which was passed in 1950, passed in 1949 and adopted in 1950 after independence. Now, what relevance it has with our present constitution? What relevance Roundtable Conference has with our present constitution? It's very relevant because British started democratic process gradually in the year 1965 with municipalities, and then in 1919, and then in 1935, and then we got independence. Now many people say that Dr. Ambedkar is the father of Indian Constitution, and nowadays it's very bad to see that people are challenging it. For those people who are challenging it, I would request that they should go to the proceedings of the Roundtable Conference and find that at various points, and I am going to discuss all those points in very short. These various points, Dr. Ambedkar showed his own thinking, his own acumen about the legal knowledge. There are many, there were many uh, positions taken by him, which was opposite to the white paper. So there was a white paper, that is the planning of the next Government of India Act, which was discussed in these roundtable conferences. So now, first you understand that what is a country. Someone was asking me, someone actually wrote a comment, and then I asked him, can you tell me what is a country? What is a nation? So, what is a nation? That you will get from these statements, these proceedings of the Roundtable Conference. So, there were various topics discussed, like India was going to become a federation, India was divided into two parts. One was princely states governed by the British, and one was princely states. One was provincial states governed by the British, and another was the princely states governed by the already existing rulers who were either Hindu rulers or Muslim rulers. So, what would be the new constitution of India? How they will react? How the finance will be managed? What kind of judiciary will be there? What would be the power of the federal court that we call as, now we call it as Supreme Court? So, what would be the power of Supreme Court or federal court? What would be the position of the minorities? What would be the fundamental rights? What would be the position of the depressed classes or scheduled castes? What would be the position of the backward classes? What would be the position of the scheduled tribes, which we call now as Aboriginal Indians or tribals? What would be the position of the backward classes, which we call as other backward classes? These all topics were discussed by Dr. Ambedkar. But a very interesting topic which he discussed was about the power of the governor. That I will come to the later. But first and foremost, it was Dr. Ambedkar during the Roundtable Conference who pushed for the adult franchise for all the people. British wanted to give only to 10% of the people the right to vote. Other Indians, including Congress Party, was happy to give from 10 to 25% of the people the voting rights. But it was Dr. Ambedkar who stressed on the voting rights for all the people in India. Indian delegates, other Indian delegates, delegates from Muslim community, delegates from Hindu community, delegates from princely states, minorities, Anglo Christians, Anglo Indians, Christian community, Sikh community, they all were ready to give voting right to 10 to 25% of people. But it was Dr. Ambedkar who stressed, and he said, and these people and British also said that it would be not possible to conduct the elections. But Dr. Ambedkar said, see, you have already done a very large campaign about the population census where you use the college goers. So if you can use these college goers for the voting, for like for the uh, places of voting, then you can manage this. You have already managed. So that was already, so that was Dr. Ambedkar who wanted voting rights for all the Indians, but that was not accepted, and it was only up to 10 to 25% of the population would get the voting right that was accepted. So this was an interesting thing which you can, if you are going to read the pages of the roundtable conference about the role of Dr. Ambedkar, then you can come to know about all these things about adult franchise. Another interesting thing is like the topic which is going nowadays about the emergency. The India got emergency, and we all know about emergency. But the another interesting thing which no one has talked in this year 2025 about the extra judicial powers or extra legislatory powers of a governor in Delhi. We have seen for the last 11 years that the the government in Delhi, the chosen government, the legislature in Delhi was unable to do what they wanted to do because there was always governor who has come in between. Now so far that government has gone, a new government has come for the last 6 months, but none of them have come to uh, a topic of discussion that let's go and let's talk about this extra legislature power of the governors which are in Delhi. I mean, and they should, I think, bring a bill in Delhi to reduce these powers. And if the bill doesn't pass, I think they should go to the Supreme Court. Now, why this roundtable conference is relevant to this? Because in this roundtable conference, same things Dr. Ambedkar discussed, and he said strongly that when you are choosing a government, now at that time the governor was actually the person who was from British government. So there was one governor, governor to the provinces, which we can say today in today's term they are like states. So today we see the central government send governors to the state. So they were the governors sending to the state, and the governor general was there, which is equivalent to today's president, I would say, in India, or almost of similar position. So what Dr. Ambedkar was saying in those years, in 30s, about the extra legislature power of governors, that if you have a chosen government, this was his main concern, that if you have a chosen government, now you cannot say that in case of emergency, he didn't use the word emergency, but there could be the case very similar to when we talk about emergency now, very similar to that. So he said that under those situations, there could be the question of law and order and so on, or peace, but you cannot give the power into the hands of the governor. It's the power of the state. So because state is the responsible for law and order, it's the duty of the state. So that thing we can learn about Dr. Ambedkar's view, that he was never in favor of the some extra powers given to the governor. Like today we have seen that governors have used their extra power, that Dr. Ambedkar never wanted, at least in case of calling a government unable to run. So it was duty of the government to keep the peace, to maintain the law and order, because we provide police to the state. Uh, each state has their police. So government cannot come in between what they are doing if a law is breached by the government. Because you see the reason. Because if a law is breached by the government, then we have judiciary to look after that. We have high courts and supreme courts and district courts also. So that was an interesting topic which you can go through if you wanted to learn more. What he talks about, I mean, it's not only at one place, at many places he talks about this extra legislature powers of governor to be reduced, to not to be given, because if you give a governor such powers, then it will be opposite to what you have adopted, that is democracy, that is a government by the people, for the people, of the people. Then it would not be a government by the people, of the people, for the people. It will become a dictatorship. That's what he was saying. Another interesting topic he covered was the structure of India. Now, Mr. Gandhi did not attend the first roundtable conference. In the first roundtable conference, Dr. Ambedkar declared that India need to be independent. Now, in the second roundtable conference, Gandhi went there. Mr. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi ji, he went there. So, Dr. Ambedkar, he declared there, and also with Mr. Gandhi actually wanted that provincial autonomy should be granted and leaving the states as they are, meaning that the areas which were governed by the British government should become autonomous. There you will go for elections, mainly there the democratic process of voting and choosing the government by the people, democracy would begin, but the states would remain status quo, intact as they were. Now Dr. Ambedkar was against this, because he said if we will give provincial autonomy to the provinces and if we will not give voting rights to the states, there would be haphazard consequences. And there are many reasons he gave. So democracy, if it was a government by the people, has to come, it has to come to all the Indians. It will bring the spirit in the people that they are Indians, one thing. Also he gave many reasons, like not all the states were able to provide the judicial services, and government provided free judicial services. So he gave a list of the states which were having very low revenue. So there was a one state which was having a revenue of only 20 rupees at that time. So these 550 plus states, princely states, were there, and not only that, they were they couldn't provide judicial services to the people. They were ruled by their own laws. Muslim states were ruled by their Muslim laws. Hindu states were ruled by their Hindu laws. So under those circumstances, it was very difficult to get the government of the people in those states. That's what Dr. Ambedkar wanted. That got accepted. It's also a very interesting thing that you can go through. Then there was a certain topic discussed about the scheduled tribes, what we call Aboriginal Indians or Adivasis, and about the criminal tribes. Now there were many criminal tribes declared by British as criminal tribes because in India, when British came, they found that there are certain groups of people who, in consensus with the princely states, are involved in the business of crimes like thuggery, killing, murdering, dacoity, and some states provide their privilege to them, their defense to them. So it was a state sponsored by the princely states of India. It was a state sponsored crime run through these various tribes. So they were declared as criminal tribes. Later on, these tribes after independence were, some of them were put into the list of the scheduled tribes. But at that time, Dr. Ambedkar talked particularly about the scheduled tribes and these criminal tribes. Dr. Ambedkar, it is very interesting fact. Many people from scheduled tribes nowadays, they say that Dr. Ambedkar has done nothing to us. But if you go to these proceedings, you will find Dr. Ambedkar wanted scheduled tribes to be included in the scheduled castes. So the reservation and all the benefits would have come to the scheduled tribes by the 1935 Act, but that was not accepted because British were having some other things in their mind. I think British didn't want these people to be included in the politically activated group of scheduled caste because they wanted to use their resources, their land for the industrial purposes. I think that was the reason. This is not given, it's my own reasoning I'm giving. But this aspect you understand Dr. Ambedkar discussed about inclusion of scheduled tribes and scheduled and criminal tribes into the normal people and inclusion of scheduled caste into the depressed classes or scheduled castes. Scheduled tribes into the depressed classes or scheduled castes. Though that was not accepted. Another interesting thing which I get to know about from these roundtable conference proceedings, many people say that RBI was started by Dr. Ambedkar. I think it's a false premise. I have not gone much into this, but it's a false premise because here I found Dr. Ambedkar was questioning about the misuse of RBI, which is going to be introduced by the British government. So RBI was going to be introduced at that time, on the white paper actually, Reserve Bank of India. Now, very interesting thing, I mean quite interesting, which has happened before the 2025 election. Now what happened before 2025 central government elections in India? Supreme Court declared the bond papers illegal. Though government parties have taken funds before that, but after they have taken funds, government declared them ultra void, illegal, whatever you say. Now at that time, Dr. Ambedkar discussed in the roundtable conference that the government in the power may misuse this Reserve Bank of India for their political gains, for misappropriating the money, and this we have seen in the bonds, and particularly for the election, he said at that time. So what he said almost 90 years ago has come true. 1995 years ago, what he has said, if people have read him, rather than going into this propaganda that RBI was introduced by him, it's false propaganda. People don't read about him. That's the problem. They don't read. Even when demonetization was declared in India by Mr. Modi, BJP and its allied media has put a false notion that it was Dr. Ambedkar who wanted to change the currency, and it's written in his thesis Problem of Rupee. I read Problem of Rupee many years back. I don't remember something was written over there. A journalist from a very famous newspaper, Hindi Belt, from Uttar Pradesh, called me and he asked me. I said, "See, gentlemen, I don't know what you are talking about. I have not read this." But it was published that it was Dr. Ambedkar who wanted to currency to be demonetized and reprint again and again. It was not. It's when this thing declared. Even I said with my acumen of economy that it was totally going to ruin the capital economy of India, and it has happened. It has shown. But it was about the bond papers. You can go and you can read about his views on misuse of Reserve Bank of India, and it has been misused. If you look at the case of Urjit Patel, why he resigned? Because it was a case of misuse of RBI by the present government. Another thing, interesting thing, Dr. Ambedkar talked about uh, in the conference, something which we now have, but he talked at that time. He said that if you make a law and if someone is not aggrieved by that law, can he or she go to the court to call it unconstitutional? This is called quit timia, something like this. It's a phrase. It's a Greek phrase or Latin phrase. Quit timia, something like this. It means that before a wrong is done, can you go and ask for an injunction? Now we have that law that if a law is passed, if an act is passed, and if I'm not a party to that act, I can go to the court and challenge the constitutionality of that act without being party or without being aggrieved by this act. But at that time, when Dr. Ambedkar raised this question, this was the acumen of Dr. Ambedkar. When he raised this question, though by the British practice, so British practice was not to approve this remedy and it remained there. However, it changed later on in our new Indian constitution, but it remained. British kept it, but Dr. Ambedkar challenged that. This was the acumen of Dr. Ambedkar. Now, many people nowadays talking about Mr. Rao, B.N. Rao, as the framer of the Constitution of India. Now, these people forget about the Constitution of India because what we got in the Constitution of India is through Government of India Act, and before Government of India Act, it was the proceedings of Round Table Conference, and then the proceedings of Constitution of India. But because you say that it was drafted by B.N. Rao, the first draft was made. But you go to the Round Table Conference when he was not there, B.N. Rao was not there. At that time, you find, I tell you by number, 3 pages which I have memorized. Page number 645, 787, and 789. You note down these pages number: 645, 787, 789. Volume 2, Writing and Speeches of Dr. Ambedkar in English. And look what the British people at the Round Table Conference are saying about Dr. Ambedkar. On these 3 pages, you will find on various topics, British are saying, "Oh, we missed, or we are wrong. We never thought about a particular scheme in the white paper, a particular act." And it's the Dr. Ambedkar's acumen which has caught the problem. So what they were saying we were wrong at drafting the new constitutional things on the white paper. But Dr. Ambedkar was catching this. And it was not only these 3 incidents. These 3 incidents are the incidents of appreciation, direct words which you can find. But there are plenty of places where you will find Dr. Ambedkar was pointing the mistakes in the drafting of the white paper. Another example is about the power of governor and governor general. Now, there were some scheduled areas, partially scheduled or fully scheduled areas. As per the law which they wrote at the roundtable conference which British people prepared, that governor can take the money from the province for partially scheduled areas, but he cannot come into the discussion. That question Dr. Ambedkar raised, when he cannot come into the discussion, how can he go and take the money? That was also accepted. So there were many places. This is one of the reason. Another reason I gave you. Another example is about the power of the governor, extra jurisdictional power of the governor, extra legislative power, not jurisdictional, extra legislative power of the governor. And there are many other things which you can go. The interesting things is like they relate to our present time. Some things relate to like the bond paper example I gave you. Then there was a question of fundamental rights. Now today again there is a debate about secularism, that whether that should be put it in the constitution in the preamble or not. See whether what the secularism is a part of, that you must understand. Secularism is a part of fundamental rights. Now there particularly when they were Dr. Ambedkar was also, there were particular various committees except one committee. Dr. Ambedkar was part of almost all the committees. So one committee was on the minorities. Now the fundamental rights are there to protect the minorities, and secularism is a part of fundamental rights. So what Dr. Ambedkar says, that in a country like India, which is run by the religious obsession, I mean these are not his words, but what he said, you have to have fundamental rights that the majority does not hit below the belt. This means they do not go to a level of disgrace of human dignity to hit at the minority. And this is what we are seeing today in India. Minorities are persecuted, they are hit, they have become, I mean, in nutshell, I would say that forget about the word fundamentalism, the word secularism, or the word socialism. Let's talk about the fundamental rights. I mean, the fundamental rights are mainly to save minorities. And if you are not saving your minorities, if you are hitting at the minorities, if the state sponsored programs are hit at the minorities, this means you are violating their fundamental rights, including secularism, including socialism, including right to life. The overall impact is you are hitting your own country, you are hitting your own nation, because a nation includes all these things. It includes finances, revenues, protection of minorities, protection of the people who are not in the urban sector like the scheduled tribes, providing services to the people. So you are, when you are hitting at a minority, also you look at the incidents taking place against the scheduled castes. I recently interviewed a person from Bhil Kshetra, a Bhil community person from Rajasthan Pali district. They are having a lot of problems, and there are a lot of problems because the majority, and this specifically Dr. Ambedkar has said about the Hindus, that Hindus have this caste attitude, and because of that they don't take care of the minorities, whoever they are, either scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. Muslims at that time was 33%, now they are 15%. But an interesting thing Dr. Ambedkar said about the Muslims at that time, not that thing is not relevant today, that what they were demanding were exaggerated and could not be given. Such demands are nowhere to be found in any other country where Muslims are in minority, but they were exaggerating here. I found that even I think even before that conference, and from one statement of Liaquat Ali Khan, who became I think first Prime Minister of Pakistan, where he tried to avoid a question that Muslim League was already prepared for making Pakistan before the conference, before the roundtable conference. That's why they were pushing, and this I got from these proceedings. They were pushing to include to get Sindh separated from Bombay, and Dr. Ambedkar objected that why they wanted to separate Sindh from Bombay, because then Sindh will become, if it becomes a separated province, it will become a Muslim majority state, and we know the consequences of that. That it has gone to Pakistan, because so I think they were already planning, because in 1919 Act they were got separate electorates and they were actually planning. But it's not the whole Muslim community; it's the Rajwadas of Muslims, the Jamidars, the industrialists who wanted to save themselves. They were actually planning for Pakistan. So that I get to know about from these conferences uh, reports. Another interesting thing is about the Pune Pact. You must have know about the Pune Pact, what happened, and Mr. Gandhi went on fast, and all these things are given, I think, in this, or I'm mixing it up. Anyway, I think it's not in this proceeding; it's somewhere else. But if I have already talked, what happened after Pune Pact? Pune Pact is a after thing. I mean, I should stop here. It's not in this. That Pune Pact thing happened after Roundtable Conference. So that is, I think, not. I have not read in Roundtable Conference, because I'm also reading another chapters apart from this. So leave that I will talk later on, and not about this Pakistan thing. I think it was also not in, but the statement of Liaquat Ali Khan was there. Sin issue, I think, was there. So these were the major things which Dr. Ambedkar discussed, and there are many other things. These are 300 pages. You can read. It could be boring also. It could be enjoyable also. I think the students of law, the jurists particularly, or jurists, or parliamentarians, they must read these conferences to understand the future of India, because this conference was actually Bhagya Vidhata of India, actually the future maker of India. So thank you for watching this. I'm Nikhil Sablania, and you can call me on 8527533051 or 8851188170. We have another WhatsApp number 8447913116. And you can go to our website nspmart.com and order books of Dr. Ambedkar. We have very good 100 books in English, 105 books by Dr. Ambedkar, by rare books collection and contemporary issues on caste and politics and on economics. It's like one set is 25,000, 35,000. Prices might vary, but the thing is that you must read them, and we also have in Hindi. Thank you very much for watching this.